John Myers joined by Dan Day, the head coach of the Seton Hill University Griffins, a 31-16 win against Clarion on homecoming here at Offutt. I know you want to win every game, but to win homecoming always has to feel special. What does this mean for the program?
I think it's huge. I mean, especially we haven't won this game since 2019. Like, that was the first win of me coming back home to be able to win homecoming. And this has always been a weird, like, energy game for us. And I think these past couple of years, like some of the losses we've had at home, as hard as our guys play week in and week out, this game's been a struggle. And I think mentally we've come into this one like almost, I don't want to say expecting to win, but like almost, creating a narrative of how the game's going to play out because it's homecoming. It's going to be a great day. And when we face some adversity, we kind of crumble, and that's what the biggest takeaway for me is when we face that adversity today. We didn't. We had a lot of moments where they were still up and taking the lead. And our guys, I thought we really played resilient football today for 4 quarters. I thought they did a great job.
You outscored them 17-0 in the fourth quarter. I know that, there's going to be runs in games, but to make a definitive run like that in the fourth quarter, what allowed your team to be so good over the final 15?
Yeah, and that's part we've been talking about needing to finish, right? Like that's been some of that struggle in those moments of letting the pressure become too big. And, I think a big part of it, I really felt like we played pretty, executionally pretty well throughout the game. But, you got to look at this one and look at those moments in that 17-point swing, right? It really came down to me, 3 guys. It came down to Todd, who set us up in some unbelievably great field position, right? Coach Holzer calling that shot play on third down, right? Like, what a big call, from him to put us down there in that position. Todd setting those things up. Obviously, Cruz, being able to – he's had some games where he struggled, and today, like, he was just lights out. I thought he played exceptionally well. Even with the turnover, I thought he played really, really well. And then, when you got number 3 in your backfield and you hand the ball to him, you're going to be okay, and that was pretty special. I thought those 3 guys in those moments, we were able to feed them and let their energy – their, confidence kind of carry us into that swing.
I want to talk about that shot that you mentioned for those maybe unaware. So it was third and about, maybe 6 yards, 5 yards, something like that. You had the ball, you had the lead, and there was just over 2 minutes left. And now this year, for the first time, there's that stoppage at 2 minutes.
Yep.
Because I think it was 2:04 left.
Yep.
The clock was going to stop no matter what you called there.
That was exactly our conversation on the field.
If it's 2:08, you probably don't do that.
Correct. Yep.
So how big was that? And then on the other side, not to take anything away from Clarion's coaching staff, but they kind of allowed you that opportunity just based on them using the timeouts before the 2 minutes, right?
Yep, exactly right. And that's that time chart that we have, and I know, that's one of those things that when you watch football, everybody's going to have their own opinion, right? But like we spent a lot of time on that in camp. The time chart that we operate off of, right, it tells you in that situation, under 2:46, you never take a timeout, right? If you're on defense, you don't take a timeout there. Their timeouts allowed us to be able to get in that position to take that shot. When, the players-wise, a lot of their mentalities on the field right there is like, obviously they're going to run the ball,
right?
To try to end this thing and ice it, and that's where because of that situation, again, credit to Coach Holzer, right? He dialed that one up. I mean, he had a lot of confidence that one was going to score and be a big play, and it was.
Phillips had over 60 yards per reception. I think the most spectacular, and they were all pretty special, was the fact that he had one-on-one and just went over the defender on a Randy Moss-esque catch and turned that into a touchdown. Feels like maybe that's the play of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was unbelievable. Like, I think he was really wanting some of those opportunities early, and he was just communicating with us on the sidelines. Like, I can get behind, certain guys he was talking about and said I can get behind them if we get some opportunities, and that's the credit of the communication from Todd, trusting him, knowing what he's seeing is what we're actually getting. And him telling Coach Holzer that, Coach Holzer having, great trust in him and being able to dial up some of those shots. I mean, that was just unbelievable. But a lot of that came from Todd. That's his confidence saying, I can win in this situation. And he's not asking for the ball from a selfish perspective. He's asking for the ball so that he can go out and make a big play for the team.
Craig added 3 more touchdowns, but coming in, he was tied for the conference lead in rushing touchdowns. You know who he was tied with?
No.
The quarterback for Clarion who did not play, Anthony Gershio. He would have been such a challenging guy to go against, but it probably caught your team a little bit off guard when he didn't. So what did you have to do to change the defensive game plan?
Yeah, it's really crazy when you think about, if you're going to look at a team and their backup quarterback comes in. Anytime that happens, when it's live in a game or when you don't know it's coming.
Which you said you did not at all.
Had no idea. And that, honestly, there was nothing on film that we saw where he would have, no idea, right? But that is really, really challenging to be able to, all aspects, right? Like launch point can be different. How he reads things, how he can escape, like the athleticism. It's all drastically different when there's a new guy. So our game plan, honestly, Sean, I think we talked about this Thursday. Our game plan was we had to keep 8 in the pocket, right? And so you probably saw tonight and thinking well, why isn't there more pass rush, right? Why? Because we didn't want to be ultra aggressive and create those lanes. And so when you're in that moment, we did adjust in the second half, and I think that's where you saw, that opportunity where it started to open up a little bit more. We got some more pressure and got some more sacks second half, but it just takes some time to be able to make those adjustments and then have that time. So it's challenging when you're facing a new quarterback for sure.
And he was really good, but he made some mistakes late, and to your team's credit, you're really starting to take the football away at a high level.
Yep.
How have they emerged as a group that comes up with interceptions, fumble recoveries, things of that nature that change the game?
Seeing that confidence for sure. And I think this is another game for us, hopefully, that we can grow in that. We've been in some of these moments where we've allowed some of those big drives to kind of snowball. This was a drive that could have snowballed, I thought. And we really did a great job. Our mantra, right, is spot the ball on defense, and I really thought that drive specifically at the end, and really I thought the whole fourth quarter, they did a great job of just kind of responding to whatever was in front of them, having that spot the ball mentality, and coming out and playing really, really good football.
2 on the road consecutively coming up, so how do you take care of business away from off it?
We got to make sure, especially seeing this game, having the success of final, this week, it's nice that we broke that 6-game 1-score streak, right? So that's kind of, nice to be able to build off of, right? But what's the challenge when you're here? We just won this on homecoming, right? What's our response going to be tomorrow? Are we going to come in and just kind of happy, that we got this done? Or are we going to be able to dissect that film, see the little things, see the execution in the first half where we have to be better? Because as you know, every single one, honestly, they get harder, I don't know what the Edinburgh, score was, but Edinburgh was up 28-9 on this team, so every single week when you go out and play in this conference, we've got to play better football. More than anything, I want this to just breathe that confidence back into our guys, and I think they were waiting for this moment to be able to have this win and build that confidence. Great it was homecoming, man. Great it was this time to do it.
Go enjoy that moment now, Dan. Thanks so much for doing this as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dan Day, the head coach of Seton Hill on the Westmoreland Sports Network.